Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving into something absolutely fascinating. We're looking at a raw, fully documented challenge by a learner named Noor. She decided to tackle a notoriously complex new language, Russian, from absolute scratch. And when I say scratch, I mean absolutely zero prior knowledge. Nothing. We're going to look at the exact evidence of what she accomplished, step by step. So, if you've ever wanted to learn something really difficult but felt, just way too intimidated to even start, well, this explainer is exactly what you need.
Let's start by anchoring ourselves with a number, 15. Think about how fast 15 days flies by in our normal, everyday lives. It's barely 2 weeks in a day. Just 15 days prior to the documentation we're looking at today, Noor's knowledge of the Russian language was literally zero. That is an incredibly tight window of time to wrap your mind around a completely new linguistic system, a totally foreign alphabet, and entirely new sounds.
And yet, look at this staggering transformation. On day one, Noor openly admits she couldn't even read. Complete illiteracy in the language. She was staring at characters that meant absolutely nothing to her. But by day 15, the result isn't just that she can read. The real kicker is that she is not afraid to speak. Moving from a complete inability to read to fearless, verbal communication in just over 2 weeks, that is a massive psychological leap, and we're going to break down exactly how she got there.
So how did she pull this off? We have to look at her brutally simple methodology. Step 1, no teacher. She took complete 100% ownership of the learning process. Step 2, no shortcuts. In a world where we are constantly sold these flashy hacks to, learn anything in 5 minutes, Noor rejected that completely. And step 3, just consistency. Her entire self-taught methodology relied entirely on the daily habit of simply showing up. It wasn't about some magic formula, it was just about putting in the work every single day without fail.
It's amazing to watch how this compounds across a timeline, starting on the far left at day 1 with absolute zero. Then boom, we jump to day 15 and we see this sudden massive compounding effect. She unlocks reading, which immediately flows right into speaking and then ultimately culminates in narrating an actual story. It just goes to show that foundational skills, once you acquire them, stack on top of each other incredibly fast.
Section 1. The first linguistic milestones.
Okay, we've talked about the setup and her methodology, but let's get into the actual evidence of her progress. We're going to start with what is arguably the most daunting task for any beginner in Russian, actually reading the Cyrillic alphabet and sounding out initial words. Здравствуйте. Yeah, that is the Russian word for hello. As Noor notes in her documentation, sounding this out was a moment where she felt proud, but definitely a bit surprised. She openly admits, okay, that's not easy. But here is the absolutely crucial point. She read it. Sounding out this notoriously difficult phonetic word proves that just 2 weeks of consistency can unlock basic literacy. She literally took symbols that meant zero to her 15 days ago and successfully turned them into recognized spoken communication.
But she didn't just stop at single words. She successfully translated and spoke this entire phrase. Hi, my name is Noor. I am from Tunisia. I have been learning Russian for 15 days. Let's just celebrate that for a second. She moved way beyond isolated vocabulary to successfully stringing together a basic, natural-sounding introduction. She is functionally communicating who she is, where she's from, and what she's doing. In 15 days, she gave herself an identity in a completely new language.
Now, I absolutely love what happens next. She is incredibly quick to follow up that success with this very honest admission. I like it, but it is hard. This is brilliant because it completely grounds her progress in reality. She's not trying to sell us a fantasy here. She isn't making it look magically easy, and she definitely isn't pretending to be some linguistic genius who doesn't struggle. She admits the friction is totally there. She likes the process, for sure, but she acknowledges the inherent raw difficulty of the task.
Section 2. The honest reality of mistakes.
Let's pivot the tone slightly here and talk about the psychological hurdles of learning. Because when you are learning from absolute zero, the vulnerability of making errors is usually what makes people quit, right? It's almost never the material itself, it's that awful feeling of sounding foolish. Well, let's look at how Noor handled this exact mental barrier. She says, I want to speak better, I learn every day, I make mistakes, but I continue. The crucial takeaway here is how she frames her errors. She doesn't view mistakes as a giant red stop sign. She embraces the inevitability of making them as a strictly necessary step for progress. She directly links the act of making mistakes with the act of continuing. To her, this is exactly what real progress looks like. And that mindset translates perfectly into her reality on day 15. Fact number 1, she doesn't understand everything. Fact number 2, she still forgets words. Both of those are totally true. But that third point, that is the triumph. She is not afraid to speak. This right here is the core thesis of her entire 15-day challenge. True progress in literally anything isn't about achieving instant perfection. True progress is losing the fear of failure so you can just keep practicing.
Section 3. Building a mini story.
So now that we know she's lost her fear of speaking, what does she actually do with that confidence? She applies that newfound fearlessness by immediately jumping into spontaneous storytelling. This is a massive, massive leap from just introducing herself. This is about narrating action. Today I studied, I read, I spoke. She is functionally using past tense action verbs to describe her daily routine. She isn't just reciting memorized nouns off flashcards anymore. She's explaining how she moves through time. She is taking the very actions she used to learn the language, studying, reading, speaking, and using the language itself to communicate those actions to the world. It is incredibly effective and just a huge milestone for day 15.
But this next sentence, this is really the anchor of the whole story. And I feel that I am better than yesterday. I really want to emphasize that this emotional realization is the absolute most crucial takeaway from the entire 15-day sprint. The goal was never to master Russian in 2 weeks. I mean, come on, that's impossible. The goal was to prove to herself that consistent effort actually yields tangible improvement. Feeling better than yesterday, that is the ultimate fuel for any long-term learning journey.
Section 4. Not perfect, but real. Let's just slow down the pacing here for a second and really reflect on what this challenge means. What we've looked at today is not a masterclass in flawless Russian grammar. It is a masterclass in the beauty of raw, imperfect effort. It's a testament to what happens when you drop the excuses, accept that it's going to be super hard, and just do it anyway. And because of that effort, she isn't stopping at 15. No way. She is doubling down. With the foundation built, the fear completely conquered, and all the momentum on her side, she is setting her sights on a 30-day goal next. She wants to see exactly how far she can push this newly discovered capability.
So, I want to leave you with this question to really ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. If you are starting something new right now, what could you achieve with 15 days of pure consistency? Noor went from absolute zero to fearless speaking in 2 weeks. Whether it's a new language, a tough new skill at work, or just a personal hobby, use her story as your sign. Stop waiting for the perfect time, embrace the messy mistakes, and just keep going. Thanks so much for joining me to break this all down today, and I'll see you in